Welcome everybody to episode 5 of the Timely Pursuits channel. I'm Azad.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're here to deliver this casual and informative, opinionated and superfluous show where we talk about our horological happenings and what's going on with our watch collecting lives. Welcome back, Kevin. Good to see you again. How have you been?
I'm very well, Azad. I'm doing very well. It's been another quiet week. It's been sunny and grey and very mixed weather down here on the south coast. But yeah, generally okay. How's things with you?
Absolutely similar. I mean, we don't live that far away, so definitely the same rubbish weather. But we were a little bit more active this week, weren't we?
Were we? Do tell.
Yes, we appeared on... You've forgotten already.
I've forgotten already, but no.
We made an appearance on the aBlogtoWatch weekly live show.
Of course we did. Yes, we were both on there. Thank you to aBlogtoWatch for hosting us. It was a great time. Great time.
Yeah, we've done that show a few times before. We've done the whole hit, miss, maybe. It was nice to join the main show as well. So thank you, Rick, for having us on. Rick was one of the very first people who kind of helped me get into watches via his previous appearances on the Scottish Watches podcast. So I'm always a fan of things he does.
Yeah, he's full of enthusiasm, and I have had the dubious time of meeting him once up in Scotland. I have met him at a Red Bar Glasgow Edinburgh event many years ago, and he's full of life. He's a great character, good to chat to, and look forward to seeing him in the flesh at some point soon.
Absolutely, and hopefully we'll make more appearances. I mean, we have been regular contributors, so we'll definitely continue to be involved in that as well. So, Kevin, what's on your wrist today?
Well, today, Azar, thanks for asking. I've got a custom 38mm Brunswick with a purple strap. This is purely coincidental. The strap and my jumper are the same colour, but purely coincidental, I can assure you. But it's a lovely piece, which I've had for a couple of years now.
So that's not a purple dial, is it? It's a blue dial.
It is a blue dial with a purple strap. It was a strap which came out a couple of years ago to celebrate the Queen's centenary.
So you said it's a custom Fears. How did you go about putting that together?
Well, I've known Nicholas for a number of years, and I decided to have a special piece made. So I spoke to him about it. That's what he does. He's very, very good at bringing your concepts to life. So it's basically a 38mm Brunswick. However, at the time, they didn't have numerals all the way around. It was just the even numbers at, so 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. However, on my one, they have now added numerals all the way around, which is what I wanted. It's all gold plated, and I mean, it's a beautiful design. I wanted that color with the gold case and the blue dial, which they did, and to me it's just stunning. However, there was another surprise on this piece. I designed it, and it was made to my specification, but I didn't pay for it.
Oh.
Yes, I didn't pay for it. And no, it's not a freebie from Fears, because Fears does not do discounts, not even on Black Fridays. He doesn't do discounts. So, yes, I designed it, but unbeknown to me, my wife paid for it. Nicholas came to my house. Yeah, Nicholas came to my house as a guest, as he always does when he's living in Canterbury. And I'm not too far away from him. Came to my house, got it delivered, and payment was made, unbeknown to myself, by my wife.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's really nice.
It was very, very... I was shocked. I was very, very shocked. She's been in discussions with Nicholas as well, behind my back, want to know what I was up to. And lo and behold, she paid. She paid for the watch. So yeah, very, very nice. I love my wife. She's very special.
Oh. We are recording the day after Valentine's Day, so that's a special piece for you, clearly.
Definitely.
Which is fantastic. I was also wearing a piece that my wife bought me yesterday on Valentine's Day as well. I need to try to take her to more events so she can meet owners and maybe encourage her to buy me a few more pieces.
Excellent. What piece was that?
The white and orange accents Omega Aquaterra, the 41. Which comes on the kind of the grey strap with the orange accents. So I think we were on holiday at the time. It was my birthday, and she decided to buy that for me, as she could clearly see I was very interested in it at the time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
A lovely person. I've met your wife. She's very, very nice. Very, very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Anyway, what are you wearing on? What have you got on today?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I have also picked a British brand today, and this is a recent addition to my collection. Let me see if I can get this to focus. It is the Studio Underdog Smoked Salmon, I believe. If that's coming through. So this is one of the new pieces that follows the collaboration that Richard at Studio Underdog did with H. Moser, one of my other favourite brands as well. Now, I couldn't quite afford the H. Moser edition that came out, but this is certainly inspired by the monopusher that they did in collaboration, and also the smoked salmon piece that Moser did as well. I think it was last year, last year, I believe. So, very nice monopusher design. A lot of the design details from the past chronographs that Studio Underdog have done. In fact, I've got the blue version just on my desk right here. So there's a lot of read across between the two, but in also trying to be as minimalist as possible, like Moser have done, they've removed all the markers, apart from the tachymeter, which is arguably the least useful thing on this dial right now. But still, really like it and enjoying wearing it today.
Excellent piece.
Excellent.
I love that. Unfortunately, I didn't get that particular piece. I didn't get any of the smoked salmons, but it's a wonderful piece. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I saw a prototype of that piece about 3-4 years ago, and
Wow.
it's taken this long for it to come out into the market for people to purchase. So, I know that people expect watches and companies to react, certainly bigger ones, to be more flexible and be able to come out with, say, a purple dial or whatever colour is in vogue at the time. But the smaller ones also, they have their problems and tribulations and trials about producing a watch in a period as well. So I was expecting this watch out 2 years ago, 18 months at least, but for it to take so long for it to come to the market, it just shows you that there are pitfalls everywhere you look. So it's a lovely piece.
At the end of the day, for a lot of brands, you only have one chance to really launch a new product. So sometimes you're just waiting for the right opportunity. And it may have been those collaborations with Moser that kind of pushed that along and made that happen. So, Moving on to the news segment of today's show. And it follows on from one of the discussion points that we had with the aBlogtoWatch team. Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this news piece?
Well, hopefully you've heard by now, or maybe you haven't, that Rolex have discontinued Carl F. Bucherer watches completely from their boutiques. This came as a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, Carl F. Bucherer watches are very, very nice. However, they haven't been doing very well in the market. What is your thoughts on Carl F. Bucherer watches?
We saw them a while back. I believe actually you arranged a get-together at one of the Bucherer stores. This was partly to showcase the new Rolex CPO that we're introducing, but we also got to see some of the fantastic, very high-end watches that Carl F. Bucherer presented at the time. To some extent, I'm not too surprised, given the financial situation there and the sales, but at the same time, it's a shame to see such high-quality watches being discontinued.
Absolutely. I mean, Rolex took over Bucherer, I think it was August 2023. There was a buyout, and obviously it was to get into the market as a retailer effectively and take control of their CPO scheme, which they introduced to Bucherer first of all, to be perfectly honest. But I do agree with you. There is a high-end loss when it comes to production of the watches. These Carl F. Bucherer watches are pretty spectacular. The watchmaking associated with it is pretty high-end. You do get a lot of value for your buck. And even now, if you went to Chrono 24, for instance, to buy one second-hand, it makes it even a better value for you to purchase a Cardiff Bucherer watch. I do like their Bicompax edition, which they came out with a couple of years ago. Their London edition, or Hometown edition was the range it was called. So it had various case backs from different cities around the world, like Munich, Berlin, London, New York, Geneva, Lucerne, various other places. They did 88 number for each particular city. That was very, very clever in my book, but obviously that didn't help in producing the numbers that were needed to secure its future.
I suppose if you're Rolex, you can't have your junior brand that you've just taken over making better watches than you do in terms of complications, right?
Yeah.
So I do wonder how much of that watchmaking knowledge is going to be retained and essentially assimilated within the Rolex brand. Do you think we might see some special new movements coming through at some point?
I would like to think so, but I wouldn't call Cardiff Bucherer a junior brand. I would say, because of their watchmaking expertise, I would say I think they would sit above Rolex and certainly Tudor, but I think they'll be the top brand in that trio of brands. It's a shame they got rid of them, but going back to your question, yes, I think they will assimilate some of the movements, potentially, some of the design, some of the expertise into Rolex and possibly even Tudor going forward.
Yeah. Well, we wish everybody working at Bucherer, the watchmakers at least, the best of luck in terms of what happens with their jobs and their personal situations. Sad to see any kind of watchmaking really go and be shut down. So we hope they are retained in some way.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to the Bucherer Bicompax Hometown Edition, it's a annual calendar with a flyback chronograph, and I think the retail price was just under £7,000, which to me sounds extremely good value.
Absolutely. I think that's an amazing value, really, for that level of complication. You know, I'm assuming that they must have sold very well at that price, but then again, perhaps the weakness of the brand might have held them back to some extent.
Yes, possibly. I mean, I've just getting into Cardiff Bucherer, and it's something I could purchase maybe, depending on the price, of course. I'm going to have a quick look on Chrono24 now, so please don't buy the cheap ones.
Well, it's interesting because normally when a brand is going out of business, the initial concern amongst buyers as well, who's going to pick up the warranty, especially if it's a highly complicated watch. However, we know that this brand is backed by Rolex, the richest, biggest brand out there. And typically, when Rolex discontinues a watch, what happens to the value, Kevin?
They tend to go up.
They tend to go up massively. So I think this actually represents a unique opportunity to technically buy a Rolex, although it doesn't say Rolex on the dial. You are technically buying a Rolex watch, high complication, probably at a steep discount as well, which will be backed by Rolex in terms of their warranty. So wow, I think I need to go take a look at myself.
So you don't buy the cheap ones either. But yeah, it's a very good point on the warranties. Absolutely.
So please, dear viewers, comment down below. Are you disappointed that Cardiff Bucherer are no longer going to exist as a watch brand? Are you an owner? Are you a fan? Or do you just not care? Let us know in the comments down below. Moving on to the timely topic for this show today, and we're going to be spending the rest of the show focusing in on the British Watch and Clockmakers Alliance's second annual show that is coming up at the start of March. Now, unfortunately, the show is already sold out, so if you haven't been able to get your tickets this time, then you're going to have to wait until 2026, or hopefully go and see them at some of the other events that are going around the country, which we will come back to and mention in just a moment. So the second annual event is coming up, as we mentioned. What we're going to do today is we're going to firstly just discuss how the event is put together, the advantages of going to the event as well. And then we're going to be talking about some of the limited editions that are going to be unveiled at the event. Some of them will be exclusive only to be sold on the day itself, but others will be brought back at a later point. So, Kevin, you've got a lot of experience dealing with many of the British watch brands. You've obviously put on your own event, actually, down in Brighton. How many years has that been going now?
The Best of British Watches event has been going for 2 years. We've got a third one coming up in September the 13th of this year. It's going to be bigger and better.
So the Alliance has been going for a few years now, and the idea was that there wasn't really much of an industrial body that represents the British watch and clock makers. And so they pulled it together. Some of the big brands got together and started a membership scheme where they were able to exchange information around not only watchmaking, but parts and supply makers as well. And then put together a bit of an annual report about how the industry is doing and really having some kind of representation, which I think is really important if you want to especially get government support for investment or production in general. Did you go last year to the event?
I did go last year, and what an amazing event it was. Katia and her team did a fantastic job pulling it together. I was pleasantly surprised when I got there. I got there for 10 o'clock and the queue was around the block. It was incredible to see so many passionate horological people interested in British watchmaking. It was fantastic. And the event itself, hats off to them. Absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I won't be there this year, but hopefully it'll go from strength to strength. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be there myself. I'm looking forward to it. I did attend last year. It's being held in Lindley Hall, which is between kind of Victoria and the Pimlico area of London near Westminster. The hall itself is absolutely brilliant in terms of the amount of daylight that comes in. It's part of the Royal Horticultural Society Hall, I believe, and that is very helpful for trying to display watches, because the number of times I've been to events or even meetups where we are in a dark pub or a bar and you can barely see anything. You basically got to bring your own torch. It's very frustrating, but with this event, the lighting is excellent. You will get a chance to meet the makers, talk to them about their designs, and of course, even buy some watches.
Yes, you'll be able to purchase watches and also limited edition watches specific for this particular event.
So let's move on now to talk about some of the limited editions that are going to be unveiled on the 8th of March event. We're not going to go through all of them because many of the brands are trying to release at least one watch for the day, some of them in only single-digit availability. So if you're very keen, I highly recommend get onto the website, have a look at some of the images that are available of those releases, and make sure you head over to those tables as quickly as you can. But let's kick it off with you, Kevin. Which one really stood out for you as your first pick today?
Yes, well, my first pick, this is not in any particular order. My first pick is the Isotope Mercury. Now I'm going to butcher this, unfortunately. Marquetry, or the Mercury Cloisonée. Oh, that's awful. That is awful. My French is not great, unfortunately. Apologies to the French people around the world. However,
this is the second episode in a row. The second episode in a row you've butchered a French name. Please go see last episode.
Absolutely. So apologies again. But however, this particular piece released from Isotope is based upon the Isotope Mercury and also the Mercury Shadow. The Isotope Mercury was released in conjunction with Raycon Revolution beginning of last year, I believe. It went extremely well for Isotope and the Raycon Revolution and Waco. They did a fantastic job in producing a watch 38mm with a 7001 ETA movement. The design of the piece, the light on the piece is absolutely spectacular. It's very, very hard to photograph. However, the shape, it's just unique. It really, really is unique. And the shadow which came afterwards is a stunning piece as well. It's much more legible to read the time. But I know you've got one, haven't you, Azar? I'm not sure which one you have, the Mercury or the Mercury Shadow.
So I picked up the Shadow, and it is because I felt that the original Mercury with the kind of the mirrored dial that it has was just going to be too difficult to read. Especially as, remember, there are no markers on this watch as well. So if you struggle to see the hands and there are no markers, then you're really struggling to tell the time. But Jose at Isotope, one of the nicest people I've met in the watch industry, has decided to release two different variants this time round, Kevin. Which of these do you prefer?
Oh, I really don't know, to be perfectly honest. I know there's 5 of each being released at the event. I think I will prefer the micro. Don't please ask me to say the name. The micro version, which is the full Union Jack design on the dial, as opposed to the 3/4 one. I think that's the one I prefer personally. That's my personal choice, and I know that people are a bit keyboard warrior like concerning the design and who is actually producing the design. I'm not sure if you're aware that people have commented on the fact that the actual dial is being made by a French person as opposed to a British person. That shouldn't really detract from the workmanship and getting involved in producing this piece, but people have been saying, well, why isn't it a British person or an English person producing a dial of this quality for this watch? To me, that doesn't make any difference at all. It's still a beautiful piece, but what are your thoughts on the dials and it being produced by a French person?
So I was fortunate enough to get a bit of a preview of these two pieces a little while ago, and I was absolutely stunned by how fantastic they look. I've not seen anybody else, British or otherwise, put together this kind of dial with the layering and the texturing that's going in to be able to get the colors. These are not hand painted. These are pieces of material inlaid and then polished over the top to be able to get those effects. Really beautiful work. So that kind of criticism that you've just mentioned, I think it just makes no sense at all. At the end of the day, nobody's complaining about Swiss movements going into these watches or Japanese movements or Chinese cases being produced. What does it matter if it's a French person making the dial? At the end of the day, it's a British brand. They're based here in the UK, and they always have been. So I don't know, nonsense if you ask me.
I totally agree. I agree with exactly what you said in your sentiments. It doesn't make any difference. It's a beautiful piece. Much more power to Jose and the Isotope brand. It's stunning. Congratulations. But be quick if you want it. As I said, there's only going to be 5 of each produced for the Alliance on the Saturday. So what's your first pick?
So I've decided to go for a small and quite compact piece. This is the Fairer Aurora. It is a salmon guilloche dial at 36 millimeters in diameter, just 10.2 millimeters thick. But what makes it really compact is the lug to lug is just over 41 millimeters. I think at that size, it may even be a little bit too small for me, but I really love the design. This is a little bit of a sporty dress watch because it does have a good amount of lume underneath the Arabics on the dial, which are in a sort of roulette arrangement going all the way around. Comes with a La Bucherer automatic movement, priced at just £925. I think that this represents really good value if your wrist can showcase it appropriately, obviously given the compact size.
That's an amazing price for that movement. That's incredible value. That really, really is. I'm not sure about it myself. Obviously it's too small for my wrist, but again, they will sell out extremely quickly on the day. It's a beautiful piece, absolutely beautiful piece. Have you come across them previously, the brand?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Fairer. I've got a few right next to me. In fact, here is one of the cushion-shaped ones that they did and released last year with the Arabic numerals as well. I do like their cushion case watches in general. They wear really comfortably. Very well constructed, nice design. Often the colorways can be very bold and maybe a bit too bold for some people, but they have in recent years started to bring in some more reserved colorways as well. So this one being one of them, given that it's only salmon, there's no third color, there's no greens, there's no loud blues or anything going with that. So that is one of the more conservative ones being produced. So yeah, very good brand, highly recommended from me. You're not going to see too many of these. They are only, I believe, releasing 10
of them
on the day itself. Only 10 will be made available, although they have said that there's going to be more following that are just not going to be numbered or limited editions in the way that these first 10 are going to be.
Sure. I mean, Farah are well known in the industry for producing watches in bold and loud colours and different colourways. definitely. Yeah, I do like Fairer. I do like Fairer a lot.
And they do make quite a few large watches as well for you, Kevin. So this one actually stands out as one of the small ones that they did, but it is the limited edition that
Yeah.
they decided to release for the Watchmakers Day, and that's why I decided to pick it. So, Kevin, what's your next pick?
Well, my next pick, and I, again, apologise if I pronounce the name wrong, it's the Apiar 5 Gen 1B special, which they're producing for that particular day. It's a 3D printed, well, partially 3D printed case. And I would love to see this in the flesh. It sounds incredible what they're doing technology-wise. I don't know, words fail me. There's only going to be 5 produced of this particular piece. It almost looks like it's a sandwich dial. So there's an element of red underneath, and it's just exquisite. It looks absolutely incredible. Words fail me. I just love to see this. I really would love to see this. It's totally different. And yeah, what are your thoughts on this particular piece?
It looks fantastic. It really stood out for me. The kind of the dial arrangement that looks a little bit like a spider's web looks phenomenal. But then you turn and you can see the photos of the case and the side of the case. Looks truly unique, which is fantastic. I will do my best, Kevin, to try to get you some photos or videos, because obviously you're not going to see it in person. It will sell out, right?
It will sell out. It will sell out. But yeah, they are an interesting brand at the moment. There's 3 people who run it. The backgrounds are various. One's definitely in design, one's definitely in engineering. They are fantastic. They actually going to be at the Best of British event, which I've organised for September. So look forward to seeing them there, and maybe they'll bring something else coming out. But yeah, super excited to see this. Shame I won't see it in the metal. Love it. Absolutely love it. What's your second choice?
So I've decided to go with the Pinion Neutron in violet. Pinion have been around for quite a while, make incredibly solid watches, a bit more rugged than most out there. And I've really liked the Neutron model for some time now. This, though, Kevin, I think could really work well in your collection, given that you don't have a purple dial watch, which shocked me last episode. So I've picked it out. I'm trying to highlight it and sell it to you. It is a 38mm in diameter watch, really well sized. Comes with a pretty standard Sellita SW200-1 movement. There's only going to be 30 of them available, all numbered with a custom engraved case back as well. Retailing at about £1,000 excluding taxes, so let's call it 1,200 and change in total. What do you think? Is this the purple dial watch for you, Kevin?
I do love that shade of purple, 100%. Unfortunately, because of the 38mm, it's going to be too small for me, that particular size. I'm sorry. I have tried on the Neutron. He was at the Alliance event last year, and I got to talking to him then. It's a lovely piece. You may or may not know, I do drive a Mercedes, and I'm a member of the Mercedes Club. And we were fortunate to have him design and produce the anniversary watch, which came out 2 years ago for Mercedes-Benz in the UK. I also saw him, again, he was at the Best of British Watches event, which I held September last year, so another chat with him then. I have tried them on. They're just too small, unfortunately. Sorry, peers, sorry. However, I still love them, and that is a very, very solid choice. Again, it's great value for money. I love that guilloche in the middle, the raised numerals. It's just a stunning piece.
Now, this might sound a little bit controversial. I actually like the faux patina on this. The warm tone really matches the purple on the dial.
I totally agree. It needs that lift, and that fake patina, that particular shade of fake patina works so well. He's a wonderful designer, and he deserves a lot more credit and a lot more recognition in the UK market. 100%. Good on you, Piers. Good on you.
So, Kevin, brings us to your final pick for today. What have you decided to go for?
I suppose it had to be, no surprise really, it's the Fears Judo Underdog Gimlet. There are only going to be 200 of these available. It's going to be split between 100 in the morning and 100 in the afternoon events. And I can imagine, like last year, the queues are going to be extremely long. Firstly, to see the watch, and secondly, try and purchase the watch as soon as you go in. It's a great piece. It's got the Brunswick 38mm cushion case. It's based on the drink, which was produced in the 1930s, which Nicholas drinks quite a lot of, I know personally. And apparently Nicholas introduced the drink to Richard, and he's now drinking them. And it's that shade of green. It's made up of gin with lime and syrup. I've had a few of those as well, with Nicholas and without Nicholas. They are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I know you don't drink, so you won't be able to sample it, and I'm sure we can make up a non-alcoholic version. Definitely.
Yeah, sadly, I can't drink that stuff anymore. But I will say happy birthday, Nicholas, because I saw that he was posting. It was his birthday recently, and he was certainly drinking some of those once again. It's a really interesting collaboration between the two, because obviously it's based partly on the Brunswick 38, which has been a truly amazing watch for Fears. Really managed to propel them into the level of watchmaking that they've managed to achieve so far. And it's partly built on the Studio Underdog Series 2 watch, which has also done reasonably well, but I think there was obviously a bit of challenge to it because it was the first time that a Swiss movement had been introduced, and the price point was a little bit higher as well. But I think they've learned quite a lot from the collaboration they did with Moser, in that it's not the priced at Moser levels, which would have upset the Studio Underdog fans quite a bit. Instead, it's somewhere between the cost of a Brunswick and a Studio Underdog. Is that right, Kevin?
It is, yeah. Apparently the retail price is going to be £1,000, which is extremely cheap for a Brunswick watch from Fears. But they've obviously value engineered this particular model, so it's just got a SW210 Solita movement in there, but it's extremely good proposition. And yeah, they will sell out. The first 100 people through the door will probably go straight to Studio Underdog and try and purchase that watch. Congratulations to them both for doing something unique in the industry, which is two British brands coming together. As far as I'm aware, there haven't been any other collaborations, but please make it, if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments below.
We should also mention that Fears is also bringing out a separate independent release on the day. They've had a great deal of success with their jump hour movements. The original, I believe, was released in collaboration with Christopher Ward, who provide the movement for Fears, and it was limited for the British and Watchmakers Alliance. Was that the Burgundy one, Kevin?
I believe it was, yes. That was released this time last year.
So this time they're back with a slightly more dressy version, in that it has a fantastic looking white dial. We're not going to go through the details this time because it is just a dial change, but it does look excellent. There's only going to be 10 pieces available, so if you're interested, head over to the Fears table as quickly as possible.
Yes, that is a stunning piece. That particular one is solid silver, and the white dial is amazing. Jump hour is a very, very interesting movement. Go over, because that will sell out very, very quickly. So, Ezra, what's your third and final pick?
So my final pick is the Clemence Munro. This has been one of the rising star brands amongst British watchmaking. The releases they've done in the past, especially the black and the yellow ones, and also the Ridgeline, have been incredibly popular of late. So they're back with a black and gilt edition of this watch, which I also think will do really well. Only 10 pieces being made available, so these are going to fly very quickly indeed. In terms of the specs, 37.5 millimeters in diameter, very compact at just 45 millimeters lug to lug, and a total thickness of around 10 millimeters, including the sapphire crystal. A Miyota 9039 movement inside, which keeps the cost very low. This is coming in at an attractive £499. What do you think of this one, Kevin?
£499 for that particular watch. That words fail me. That's extremely good value. I haven't held one in the metal, unfortunately, but from what I gather, they're extremely well made. The movement is solid. It looks great. Obviously, the downside for me is that it's too small. However, it looks like a cracking piece. I've got nothing really bad to say about it. The hands look great. I do like the tip of the hour hand, the way it's split into 3 triangles, or no, split into 3. I like that look. Hopefully the loom's quite good. But yeah, it looks spectacular. To me, you can't go wrong.
The loom is excellent on these watches. I can attest for that firsthand from what I've seen.
I hope the bracelet's not too jangly, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty well made. And yeah, for that sort of price point, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just the size for me. It's just too small.
I'm going to have to go through the show and try to find something that fits your wrist a little bit better. Maybe some of the Zero West watches, actually. They're usually quite large, aren't they?
They are indeed. Andrew's very, very good guy down at Zero West. I've tried on a few of their watches and they are absolutely stunning. Again, another brand which needs to be shouted out from the rooftops. They are doing incredible stuff. And if you ever get the chance, if you can't get to London to see them at the Alliance show, they're again going to be at the event I'm running in Brighton, Best of British Watches. And if you can't get to Brighton, go to their showroom on the south coast, just outside, in between Southampton. Just outside Southampton. They've got an amazing space. They will warmly greet you. And it's incredible what they've got and what they've done and what they've managed to achieve. So hats off to Andrew. Actually, I do have a Zero West hat right by me. So purely coincidental.
So literally hats off, right?
Hats off, literally. Hats off to Andrew and the guys there. Fantastic.
Excellent. I mean, we've only been able to showcase just a few brands today, and it's important to mention that actually there's loads. There are so many fantastic brands showcasing what they're doing, not just watchmakers, clockmakers as well, as we've mentioned, also strap makers and various other services as well. There's even going to be some horological legends in attendance too, so try to get down there if you can. If you've already got tickets, fantastic. If you can't, then hopefully sign up for next year. So Kevin, the big question now, the big question for everybody's waiting to hear: if you're going to pick just one of these limited editions out of the whole show, which one would you go for?
Oh, why do you do this to me? It's very difficult. It's very, because I do like quite a lot of them. I know the brands pretty well. Hand and Heart. It will probably have to be Nicholas and Richard and the Studio Underdog Fears collaboration. That sums up to me what the British watchmakers can do if they put their heads together. It's a unique design, a unique proposition, a bit of fun, but also don't forget Nicholas's company has been in the watch industry for over 179 years now, 180 years, joining with one of the oldest watch brands in the world, joining with one of the newest watch brands in the world, Studio Underdog, who is literally flying the flag. Both of them are flying the flag for the British industry all over the world. So yeah, definitely Studio Underdog Fears collab is the one I would buy.
To some extent, I'm a little bit disappointed you picked the Gimlet, but because I wanted to pick it.
Okay,
that's the truth. So I'm also going for the collaboration Gimlet watch. I think that's my favourite out of the lot. And if I get there early enough and I'm far enough forward in the queue, then I'm heading straight to that table to at least take a look at it first before I make any kind of decision. I suppose if I miss out, then maybe it'd be the Pinion as a close second favorite for me of the day. But to be honest, sometimes it's not until you've handled the watches, until you've really got a chance to have a look at them, would you decide whether you really want to go for it or not. So that's the rare opportunity this event and these kind of events offer, is that you can get hands-on with some of these watches who otherwise are only maybe available online. They're not all available. They don't all have showrooms and they're not in stores. So this event really serves an important purpose, not just for the brands, but also for us, the customers, the enthusiasts that want to get hands-on and get a real feel for the quality that is on offer.
there needs to be more access for people to have hands-on with the British brands that are being produced. Most of them are online only, but at these events you get to touch and feel, try on the cases, try on the watches, try on the straps, and make a decision. I know that the Fears 38, even though it's a 38, suits my wrist because I've got Fears. So yes, it's a fantastic opportunity to meet the owners, meet the brands, try on the watches, talk to the designers, and also meet horological legends like Roger Smith. He's going to be attending. He's a very, very nice chap. Go up and say hello. He's very amenable. Please feel free to comment below on our top picks. See if you agree or disagree. Have a look on the British Alliance Watchmakers website to see all of the limited edition releases and see which ones are your favourites. And please, again, comment below.
Well, that's episode 5 all wrapped up. Thank you again for watching the Timely Pursuits channel. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, share, and also subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notifications of all future episodes. If you'd like to follow us further, you can find me on Instagram at az.time or the other YouTube channel, aztime. Kevin, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is Kevin_Roberts100. So please follow me. Also, please comment below. We do read your comments and do take on board what you say. And look forward to recording another episode for you to watch very, very soon.
And hopefully we'll see many of you at the Watchmakers event. Feel free to come and find me and say hello. With that, thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye. See you guys soon.